I'm going to talk about being a spark of the Creator today. And what does that mean? So, first of all, the source, the desire for power is also the desire for the power source. And just immediately elevating this consciousness of how there's power in all. So, there's power in being faithful. There's power in being loyal. There's power in being merciful. People turn to the Creator for those very reasons, and these are also the areas where we might be sacrificing ourselves or martyrs for others. In other words, manipulative or people-pleasing. And it's a type of power to be the one someone turns to be the one with the answers, to be the one who's never afraid, who's always composed, who has enough energy to do everything. So actually, if we kind of just take it a step further, we're actually desiring the source of power, because we are limited beings who have a limited amount of power. If someone said, you have to be merciful no matter who stabs you, kicks you, kills your family, rapes everybody, all the crimes in the world, you'd have to look to something higher than you. Who might have gone through this before you, who could give you this guidance? If no one did, you'd have to look to the Creator who made all beings, and look at the way animals may rip each other apart to eat each other, or how cats, their sexual intimacy is always with, people saying how, people who study them say that the females are often raped. That's part of the way that they mate. So it's like we got to go to the desire for power. We have to look at the power source. We want, if money is power, we want the bank. We want more money. If we want, if status is power, we need more status. And who gives the powers of the people? The government is supposed to be answering to the power source. In the human, political construct, it's supposed to be the people, the majority. In other circumstances, if it's the man of the house, we can always look at where does the power kind of in the system we're looking at, where's the source of the power? And there's always an ultimate source. There's the Creator, and that lives in all of us. And this is how we have ability to be loyal. We're all loyal. We just have to know what we're loyal to. We're all merciful. If we have a perverted mercy, we're only going to be merciful with the people close to us who we want them to like us. But we're still going to have that mercy has to come out. You could have somebody who's a dictator, and people close to them will say they're very merciful in such and such ways, because it lives in all of us, this divine faithfulness, this divine loyalty and mercy. We also grant forgiveness and innocence. We do this first to ourselves and then to others. When we say something's okay, we say it's not bad. When you say something's bad, you're saying, in my system, I remove forgiveness and innocence from this behavior or speech, or lacking of a behavior. If you didn't do it, you did do it. And then we all have the ability to connect with our synchronicities, shared thoughts. It's about a timing thing. It's about, I'm in alignment with that. We can recognize it. Even somebody who may not be spiritual but goes to a lot of business meetings, if someone says the right buzzwords, they connect. There's synchronicity there. Those words mean something to me. And there's the instant of limitlessness or experiencing timelessness, and we access this often through athleticism, through doing amazing great things, through uniting people from different countries who are at war. We feel a sense of the boundaries being divided, and it feels so good because there's a true part of us that is connected always to that which is limitless. We are limited like containers for this limitless quality, and we've got to do work to get it, whether it's running up a hill carrying something, and you say, I'm amazing, but you couldn't access that before you did it. Or if it's like holding yourself back from losing your temper, and you realize it's limitless patience at that moment compared to what you were used to. And also experiencing timelessness. So if we just close our eyes for a moment and we recognize that if we look back in our memories, they don't come with timestamps like a video camera, like this happened and then this and then this, but we kind of know. We have a board meeting and we kind of stretch it, and there's many versions of us on each side, and future self and past self, and they're all with us, and they already can inform us when these things happened, who we were with, and they have timestamps on them. So we already know we can access this timeless quality before video cameras, before, cell phones, and we had memories, and so we are timeless, and we can remember these memories in a certain order that's a different kind of time of significance, and they remind us who we were then. Those people are not who we are now. So this is spark of the Creator, is always being changing, being part of life. We are life, living. we're always going to protect our sovereignty, dignity, and freedom. And this could be a child learning how to say no. This could be a baby who punishes his mother for taking a long time by not wanting to interact. Even if he's already 1.5, he could already start, dealing with some of his own power in the, his own dignity in the power struggle. And his mother represents the love. So he could be upset that the love was taken. And so in his own way, he's free, this baby, to say, like, I mourned you for a little and now you come back. So we can access this from being a baby up to being much older when the baby's hungry and you take away the breast and the baby's angry because it's still hungry, it'll scream. So we can protect our sovereignty, and then we do this as adults, but we choose when it's okay so we don't get rejected, so we stay accepted. But we all have the desire to protect these birthrights, these innate, inherent truths, which is that we all have innate sovereignty. We're all dignified even when we're pooping on the toilet or vomiting or sick. Our bodies, our beings, we have dignity, and we still want that, and freedom. The freedom to choose when to talk and not be forced to speak when we're not in the mood. We always have resentments about this, and we'll protect ourselves. We'll avoid the people who make us uncomfortable so that we can stay free. And independence of true identity and respect. So this is a basic fundamental value because you'll hide what other people are not respecting in you because you still need to do it. So the true self, the true identity will shine even if it's in the dark. Even if it only lets you see it with a candle when you're deep in meditation, suddenly you get a spark of, I don't want to be that person, but that's who we are. It will get respected because it exists. It'll hide, but it will stay. You can't wipe it away. And it'll need us to respect it. Like if I need soft touch, but also a squeezing touch, I will have to massage my body, or else I will put myself in a situation vulnerably where I'll end up needing someone to do it for me. So this independence is really is available. We can always give ourselves what we need. We just have to ask the right person, make the right trade. It's available to us. Otherwise, we're going to have to hide it, and people will have to go and find a prostitute because they're afraid of sharing with their wife their needs. But maybe their wife and them could figure it out together. So it's like when the wife was raised with a very limited perspective on what's okay, for example, sexually, then the true identity that she has, which is why she's with this man, is also repressed. And she might really want to be in some way kind of practicing something taboo where it doesn't feel degrading, it just feels new and interesting. So these things come out somehow. And then pure heart and righteous spirit and true. And this is feeling appalled when somebody makes us out to be bad, even if at some point we kind of take on the identity of the bad boy, the bad girl, the whore, the player. There's this pure heart in there that still may love to have bubble baths or blow bubbles, or that sort of wants to play and have fun, and is kind of holding on to the inner child. And this pure place who just wants to kind of let go of the rules for fun, and wants to put on a big disguise because of how sensitive they are, that don't mess with me. Or somebody who got very hurt is not going to put themselves in a position to be hurt. So sometimes the ones who have so much smudge all over covered up is kind of the most pure and righteous of spirit. And they you could have somebody who looks like they're so tough, but they're vegan and they care about all the animals, and they would never hurt Mother Earth by not recycling. And so we can't really judge a book by its cover in this way. And of course, curiosity, exploration, newness. We love being enriched. We love stimulation. We love new sounds. And we love being one big ear, one big eye, fully immersed in the experience, sensual, consuming experiences, getting lost of the old stories. It brings us into the here and now where everything is so rich. Nothing is poor in the environment. Nothing is poor in the experience. A decadence. It's that's what curiosity feeds. We're so vibrant. We're so vivid. We are life. And even when we feel numb, we desire some, adrenaline rush or excitement or full-fledged experience of rich sensation. And then critical surface boundary magnet. Now, if you think of an MRI, it's getting the edge. It's sending magnetic energy to us to show us how everything is situated. And when you get an X-ray, you have to wear something that covers something so that radiation, doesn't penetrate and cause any mutations to some areas. For example, if you're getting it, when I went to the dentist and they X-rayed my teeth, they put something on me to cover me. if somebody's getting their back x-rayed, they'll try to, minimize for the technician. They have to get exposed, but the technician will walk out, as we know. So it's like this critical surface. There's edges of the DNA which can be altered. So there's an edge of something which has a magnetic energy. Things can be pulled off, pulled on. And it's like the tension. So there's a boundary there. We all have internal boundaries that have magnetism. They push people away or bring them close, and we're not aware always. But we know that we have this critical surface of where you don't get like a safe distance. We know whether we're aware of it or not, we know our aura, how far it extends out. And often that's why we'll isolate, because we feel so naked and vulnerable. We have so many leaks in our aura. The boundary of the magnet is not doing well. So in that time, we want safe distance. We only want to be around safe people, but we're in the stories, we're not looking around and seeing who's safe. So this critical surface with a boundary magnet is a way to, knowing this is a way to not only protect ourselves, but also like, how far does our name go? Like, our values can extend further than our conversations. People could talk about us, for all 7 degrees of separation. I know Putin's name. Maybe he has heard my name, Sheinah, somehow. Who knows? 7 degrees of separation. So this boundary magnet says, I to the 1, and then there's 7. So really that's 8, because there's 7 relationships. He's the 8th one from me. So the boundary magnet is between 2 people, and it's the critical surface is where things can pass over, like a paper towel where a drip can come through. Then the ability to manifest beauty and kindness or sweetness. The ability to be kind, whether we're doing it in a manipulative way, to get someone to like us, to get paid more, to get a good date, to, be the one that everyone, bids on your auction item. Whatever agenda we have, this ability is there to manifest beauty and kindness. So you could have somebody who lives in a hovel, a haggard, dirty, disheveled environment, and yet they're able to see such beauty that somebody else couldn't even imagine. And they show it, and then you're able to imagine it with them and go there with them, and it's just a different way, a different kind of beauty. There's always this like beauty in the juxtaposition and the paradox in the ugliness. And kindness. Everyone has this ability to be sweet, whether it's to an ant, a homeless person who maybe you'll say like, they're not kind to their self. They're so kind to a rat or to another homeless person in a way that a rich person wouldn't have that sensitivity. So we could learn from everybody, and the people who are often in the least abundant positions or the least beautiful externally or kind positions externally often have to really pull it out of them to be a wellspring of this in the world, because they don't see it. So we all have that ability, and actually the ones who may look like they have it the most sometimes don't, and the ones who look like they may not have it might have the most of it. And then there's providence and alignment and grasp. There is an aspect of us as the interpreter that will only see what we're able to. So 2 police officers could look at a situation, and one of them will see one thing, and another one will see another. One will say a crime was committed, and one will say one wasn't. So this is, kind of like the ability to recognize that each of us, my friend calls this Sonder, but it's like the Tao. It's that each one is co-arising together. So you will interpret and perceive and grasp and be grasped by what is in alignment, that critical surface, what can actually be perceived. Some things, we're always repelling them. We look for them, and they're always going to be repelled because of our magnet. And other things will always be right here. We're trying to push them away, but they'll always be right here because of the magnet. So this alignment and the grasping, becoming one with, taking it in, putting it out, we all have this ability, and we can utilize this as being a spark of the creator for whatever we might want. And then moving into this, how do we have this bridge for this clean, direct energy that's sustainable? We want to do all these things. We want to access all these abilities and capacities that I mentioned, like when we want them. So for me, a lot of this is to do with grieving. There's this, we could inhale and exhale. Like we could inhale the good fortune means we look at our resources, we become more guilt-free, and we realize we're allowed to desire happiness and health. This is part of our birthright. We're allowed to be that. And if we don't allow ourselves, we're actually not letting anyone else we're fundamentally not allowing a being to be happy, to have the birthright, to not be guilty for wanting to be healthy and happy, for seeing that they also have resources and their beliefs. And we let go of the standards and the expectations, the projections, the assumptions for ourselves and for others. So we're able to live in what could be considered good fortune. It's our birthright. It doesn't mean money. It means fortunate, successful, prosperous, and whatever it is that we're aiming for, whether it's meaning, innocence, alignment even, is very simple. That's why we do yoga. We practice physical yoga just to arrive in that oneness. So a lot of grief comes from abiding into wholeness, that I am not the thing I'm grieving for, and it wasn't in that one. For example, what I might think my father should have had for me, and then I never got it. So spending time to grieve, and I was focusing on these words, Hebrew words that remind me of shavasana, which in Hebrew is like the corpse. The receiver, the one that the spirit can enter or leave. So Shavuos is the time where the Jews get the Torah, the truth, the spirit. Shaviti means to sit and to place in front. Shiva is to sit. Yeshiva is like sitting and learning. But Shiva also means grieving, like the sitting time after someone leaves. We sit with it. We sit with it. Shabbos is when we sit with whatever we have. We prepare for Shabbos to be okay with whatever we have. Teshuvah is to return to love, is to sit. To return to sit in love instead of chasing it or trying to get it from somebody. Shave is literally in just plain word in Hebrew, to sit, shave. And then Shevet is the tribe. So where you're sitting, they were aligned in different gates. There was 12 of them, and they had 3 in one direction, 3 in another, 3 in another, and 3 in another. They carried from the first time how they carried their father's corpse in Shavasana. So they were arranged by how they related to the body, which housed the spirit. And in the Jewish letters, Hebrew, the letters also represent numbers. So it's called gematria, numerology, but it's very closely related to geometry. The numbers align into ways that create shapes, and then things manifest because of their numerology. So Shin is 300, Sh, and Beis is 2, Shev. So 302, and then there's a way of transferring all that to 300 and 400, Shin and Taf, Shes. Shes is wholeness. So Shes was the son of Adam who was whole, not the Cain and Abel who killed each other. One was killed and one was the killer. Like that whole, the losing the spirit, one loses the spirit, one takes the spirit, like that whole technology. So the wholeness, Shin and stuff, is 700. So we move from 302 to 700. It takes a month, but we have 1 week to fully embody it, and then we go forth for a month to really let it settle. So we abide in the grief for the sake of wholeness. We have to let versions of ourselves go. Those, what I mentioned, those earlier versions of ourselves that are not current and arriving into our actual abilities. So, for example, I stopped breastfeeding at 3 months, and it wasn't available when I wanted it and needed it, and it wasn't provided, and it was provided when I didn't want it and didn't need it. So I ended up taking a lot of the time and money in my life, feeling unworthy of it. But when I really reflect on myself currently now, I spent over 12 years studying and over 300,000 towards study, but also I was a research assistant and I worked in internships, and I have all the credit and criteria to have a formal education. I also traveled around the world, and I realized that I had all the resources and the time and money for connecting and for what mattered and discovering. And so there was a version of me as a baby, or there was a version of me with my father, and if not my mother, there was a version with also my father, where parts of me, they were left in them, and I can recall them and bring those parts into myself. But I have to grieve for the one. As that spirit leaves my mother and comes into me, as that spirit leaves my father and comes into me, I become more whole. All these sparks of the Creator in me, I can create these parts of my life which weren't given or provided. Everything was as it should be. And so we breathe in compassion, and we exhale compassion for all, and we breathe in clarity, and we let out clarity for all. We breathe in an empty heart space, and we breathe out empty heart space for all. And we do this by dissolving these expirations, these deaths. Each one, it dies. As we breathe in, the exhale has to die. So this relationship with my mother is the one who withheld, is dead. The relationship with my father is the one who withheld, is dead. they're not withholding anything now. So arriving into the now is we recognize people do only invest in what they want to. My parents wanted to take care of me, and they took care of me, but they didn't do everything the way that I wanted or needed. And as a baby, our wants are our needs. So many of us are walking around with the baby or the little child still wanting, and we gotta give it. We gotta give it. It's time. So some of my commitments based on this consciousness is I want to treat my body with goodness, not punishment. And this is generational traumas. This is me taking what my parents gave me and calling the spirit fully into me and going further with it. Arriving new into what is the information, what is being informed, what is being in formation right now. What's forming now? I want to be present for the formation. Meeting people each time for the first time. The previous versions of them are dead. They got from us already the spirit that they needed from our fights and our loves together. Letting myself be more raw, more vulnerable. I don't have to prepare for what already happened because I'm new now, and so are you, whoever you are, and so is everyone I'm going to meet today and everyone who I already met. Forgiving my community is generosity. To say there's enough generosity to forgive, that's abundance. That everyone's okay, they're good. I can call my spirit back in. I'm not still resentful or dependent on anybody to do it for me, who needs to give to me so I can give to myself, or ask others to give me, or ask for what I want. To accept pain in the context of a fleeting life is to arrive into the right now, is to say this is all I really have right now. Maybe those stories keep me company, but I am a spark of the Creator, part of a whole spirit, and this work that we do of calling our spirit back in is what God does when we die. God calls our spirit back in, and God becomes the wholeness with us, part of it. We're having our own separate little life, but we get called back into the oneness. Seeing opportunities without pressure so I don't fearfully sabotage them. I could say no, they're opportunities. And finally, curiosity about my very rebelliousness to this magnet. When do I say no? When do I say yes? And when do I submit fully, like I allow myself to be magnetized? And when am I the magnet where I say no and then they have to come to me? So I hope that you're inspired to interact with your spark of the Creator as a oneness, as being the spark of the Creator in the world, a separateness and a oneness. Lots of love to you. Thank you.